advice on how to use it and how to sew to get good results. This machine is set up with the 1100 watt servo motor, and this is a very strong motor. It has a high torque, and it's brushless motor. It has a low speed torque. We can, with the settings here, we can set beginning speed and maximum speed, and there's a few other things that we can basically change by pressing two buttons and go from parameter 1 to through different parameters and set speed up, and then go back and set it. I'll demonstrate how we use this machine and we sew this particular material. I'll start with the beta. It's one of the it's a softer material. It's actually easier to sew this material. We also use Schmetz needles, size 200 needles, and it's a round point, specifically round point because inside of this, it's basically coated webbing. There's fibers in there, so you don't want anything leather point because it'll cut fibers. We recommend to use size 138 size thread for bobbin and 207 for top. It gives you best result with size 200 needles with this kind of material. And some people might say, well, I want to use thicker thread. It's not necessarily thicker thread. If you use, depends how many stitches per inch you use. If you use anywhere from 5 to 7 stitches per inch, it'll give you very strong stitch. It'll hold up. You also have to reinforce stitches by back tacking them in beginning and at the end. So usually what you do, you hold your thread when you start sewing, and because of my motor is very strong, high torque, I don't need to help it. It'll actually start without me helping get started. As you can see, I can run very slow without speed reducer, because this motor has a lot of torque and you can comfortably set it for whatever speed you want. So when you get close to hardware and you need to make turn, you stop with needle down, and when it starts to come up, maybe 1/4 of an inch, you stop, you make a turn. So you go to the next corner when you need, you stop with needle down, start to come up, make turn. We also have a roller guide we can put here, which comes as a standard item on this machine. And the stitch length here, I have about 6 inches to an inch, between 6 and 7. But like I said, we recommend anywhere between 5 to 7 stitches to an inch. So to reinforce, you basically flip this lever here. You slow down when you do that, because you can break thread very easy if you go at a very fast speed. So to get material out, you basically go lift, turn till needle goes all the way up and start descend a little bit. At that point, you can lift and pull it out. As you can see, I'm sewing 3 layers here, and my stitches in the back, nice, they pulling up pretty good. And I'm going to sew some tougher material here. We use Raw Touch scissors. They are very good because not many scissors will cut this material in one shot like this. It's a very tough material. So this is a different coated, it's much tougher material, and a lot of times it'll present a challenge to sew, especially on the back side, to pull up stitches. If you do have a problem and you don't get nice stitches on the back side, what you need to do to tighten up this tension here. Also, if when you sew and your material, when needle lifts up and lifts up your foot, this knob here, you're loosening this screw. You might need a tool to do that. you're loosening this knot, and you drive this knob screw down, it applies more pressure on the foot. And since this material is pretty tough material, it's very difficult to sew through. We might have to actually help the first stitch. Our foot is very sensitive, and I don't sew all day long, so I have to get used to it because it takes very little in order to start sew. To make a corner, again, we start with needle down, and needles start to come up. I mean, you can feel how easy this motor drives to this tough material, and if you had any experience sewing it, you will know it's not an easy material to stitch through. But it can be done, and with the proper setting. That's what we use. I mean, as you can see, the back stitches, they laid very nice and clean here. That's what the result, what you want to get stitching this material.